This episode is a special glimpse into the Reluctant Medium TV show, which you can get in full at newrealitytv.com. Enjoy. Welcome to the Reluctant Medium, where we cover the gamut of out there conversations. With an open mind and a curious heart, we want to talk about it all. From psychic phenomena and energy medicine to beings from other star systems and out-of-body experiences. You'll find a great balance between grounded science-backed topics and others that science hasn't quite caught up to yet. I'm your host, Dr. Maria Rothenburger, a psychotherapist by trade and a reluctant spirit baby communicator. And hey, even though I'm a medium, I'm not buying everything folks are selling. I just have a voracious appetite to know more about what I call the world of the weird. Join us on your favorite podcast platform or watch on YouTube at The Reluctant Medium. I'll see you there. Hi. Welcome to The Reluctant Medium. I'm Dr. Maria Rothenburger. And first, I just want to offer a sense of gratitude that I get to work from my bed right now. Like what? Who gets to do that? I mean, I'm sure plenty of people now post-COVID, but I'm just feeling especially grateful today. And I get to have my gay cat, Blackberry Smoke, with me today. So, hello. Well, today we have a very interesting reading for you with Olga. She is a person who is quite intuitive herself. And you'll hear in the beginning of the reading where I talk about, or I ask her really what she gets readings for anymore, because she is so in tune with the other side and so accurate. It's interesting that she would still seek out readings. And it's because it's confirmation for her. And so while I encourage folks to do your own training and your own expanding your psychic abilities, I also recommend getting readings for validation. And not just from one person, although it's fine. You probably build relationships with a practitioner, like any practitioner, right? But I find that it's super useful to connect with various people who do various types of work, but also the same work in their own style. It's really interesting and informative to expand in that way and to connect in that way, to get confirmation from various people around the same ideas and themes of your life. All right, that said, what I would like to talk about today is psychic development. And I just have 5 very simple tools for you to get going on developing your psychic intuition. Now, does that mean you're going to be doing this work? Well, no, not necessarily. But the fact of the matter is, from a very, very, very young age, we are taught to ignore our psychic abilities. I believe, and many, many, many people believe, that we're all in tune in this way, and we are educated out of it. So, one of the things that I like to say is that I'm working myself out of a job because I feel like everybody has the ability to intuit their own life, their own next steps, their own needs. They are able to draw, and you are able to draw from your own resources that you don't need necessarily someone like me. It's just A, entertaining, but B, validation and confirmation of what you already know. And you're going to see that in today's reading too. And actually in a lot of readings in the Reluctant Medium, you'll see people having an awareness or a resonance with what's being said. It's because they already know it to be true. All right, with that, let's start with my 5 tips today. And there are many, but I'm just going to shoot for 5. 5 tips today for you to begin tuning into and developing your own psychic awareness. Let's start with number 5. Just like in the beginning of this episode today, you saw me putting together a crystal grid. Crystals are fan-freaking-tastic for enhancing your intuition. I'm going to be talking a little bit later about dream work. Ooh, a little foreshadowing. Crystals really help with dream work. For example, a howlite crystal enhances, well, it's really calming, but also it enhances your ability to dream, and it also increases your dream recollection. Paired with clear quartz, which provides clarity in your dreams, wow, you have a dual quartz, a dual crystal process that is ideal for dream work. So, um, crystals, like I did in the beginning, you saw the crystal spread. That was for focus. I needed to focus and ground in a presentation today, a learning or a teaching today. That's what that crystal spread was for. You can create crystal spreads or own crystals that enhance your psychic intuition. I would recommend something as simple and affordable as an amethyst crystal. If you're just looking to create more psychic intuition, sleep with an amethyst crystal on your bedside. Now, side note, you do want to remember to cleanse that crystal frequently and use your intuition to sense when that crystal needs it. Everybody is different. Some people like to use herbal smokes. Some people like to hold them and use their intention for cleansing the crystals. Some folks say that the crystals also need to be charged. I don't find that as much. And anyway, cleansing and charging ends up being similar for me because you can charge by the moon or charge by the sun. I find that cleansing with moon energy is perfectly fine. And your intuition matters way more than my practice or what anybody else does. So you tune into your crystals and see what they need. So, for enhancing your intuition, overall psychic ability, grab yourself some amethyst. For dream work, howlite, clear quartz. And really, there are plenty of websites out there, or you can just Dr. Internet it up to see what crystals are useful and meaningful for the particular kind of work that you want to do. Okay, that's number 5. Number 4, journaling. Journaling in general is really useful for developing your psychic abilities. I have to say, I have a journal for everything. I have a journal for my daily tasks. That's a bullet journal. I have a journal for regular life. I write all of my daily stuff down. I have a dream journal. I have a journal for herbalist studies. I have a journal for um, evidence that psychic mediumship is a thing. Honestly. So you are talking right now, or an avid journalist is talking to you right now about the importance of journaling. I can't find a more important tool for tracking the data that you receive, because you can go about your day and have your psychic hits, but you forget. Everybody forgets. You have a human brain. That's how we roll, right? That's how we function. So when you write things down, just like a dream journal, you're able to see themes. When you write things down, like I saw the number 123, and I kept seeing it over and over. And these are the thoughts that I was having when I saw that number, or these are the events that happened preceding seeing that number, or just after seeing that number. You'll start noticing patterns. And that is really important information. So, journaling can't be stressed enough. It is really important to start doing that. Now, there is another way to develop psychic intuition, and I have actually talked about this in another episode that I think is just so much fun. That when you write down information using your dominant hand, that is sending information or collecting data. It's putting it out there. But when you write with your non-dominant hand, it's receiving information. So what I suggest is that you get into a calm meditative state and ask your questions in your journal with your dominant hand. And then back into your meditative state and begin writing with your non-dominant hand, whatever comes through. Such a fun practice. It really is important to get into that playful state though, because we tend to sometimes get a little too, or if you're like me, we tend to get a little bit too, is this real? I don't know. Am I making this up? I mean, I'm a medium and I still do that. So no judgment if you do that too. It's important to get into that playful, let's just see what happens state. Okay. That's number 4. Number 3, super fun, important tool to use. Oh, here's an actual physical tool I'm going to show you. Have you heard of these? It's called a pendulum. And people think that pendulums are like magical or something. Well, I suppose there's a little bit of magic in them, but not really. They are reading your energy, the energy that is around you, your electromagnetic field. Now, what I like to do when I suggest using a pendulum in the beginning is to connect with your greater self, which is really already using your energy, your auric field, your electromagnetic field that's emanating from your heart. We know that from the Heart Math Institute. Go Heart Math Institute in your research. Yay. Um, but when you begin connecting with souls outside of you, your guides, your healing masters, departed loved ones, your spirit babies, whomever, what you're going to be doing is a little bit different. You're going to be asking that you, especially your ego part, the ego part of you, steps aside. So I say, Maria, steps aside over there. Please, baby X, use my energy to communicate with me now. And then you'll feel a subtle shift in your energy. But in the beginning, you're really just learning how to use this, right? So I'm going to show you a very simple practice, how to begin using a pendulum. Okay, so you want to be sure that the pendulum is cleansed. And then to create an energetic little cylinder here, I hold the pendulum in my dominant hand, and my non-dominant hand I hold underneath. And I just ask the pendulum, show me yes. Show me yes. And I'm holding it with my dominant hand as still as I possibly can, but it is still connecting to my energy. So that is yes. And in this case, it is north and south. Show me no, no, no. Okay. And there you can see it switches. And now we are going east-west. Okay, so you can ask very simple yes and no questions that way. Now you can communicate more deeply and more with more nuance with a pendulum, but that's just the beginning, yes and no, and that is enough in the beginning. Number 2. Now you might not realize that this is as important as it is, but it really, really is. And that is play. Play. Yeah, we get so damn serious about this stuff. We start to feel down on ourselves if we're not accurate. We start to feel down on ourselves if we're just not getting, like, we're only 10% better than we used to be. Oh my gosh, 10% better? Amazing. Haven't moved at all? Amazing. Just practice more. Play is so important. And I said way in the beginning of this episode that we are taught to not pay attention to our playfulness, to our imagination. We are taught to do 1 + 1 = 2. We are taught to do very grounded mathematics, science-based things, all beautiful and wonderful within their own right too. But without imagination and without play, you're missing the picture, the whole picture. When you are using a pendulum, when you are playing around with cartomancy, doing card readings, when you are playing around with your clairs, your clairsentience, your clairaudience, your clairvoyance, whatever it is that you're doing in that moment, have an element of play. Elevate it to the point of, you know what, in the end, this doesn't totally matter. It's just playfulness and I'm having a good time. Because what that does is it effectively removes your ego from the situation. And when you are attempting to improve your psychic abilities, your psychic awareness, your psychic intuition, your connection to the other side, there is nothing I find more important than removing your ego from the situation so that you can truly receive the information. Otherwise, it's blocked. In order to really get clear information from outside of ourselves, from the ether, we need to remove our ego or to ask it to step aside temporarily. Play. Play. It's number 2. So important. Go get yourself some play. Now, how can you practice play? Well, you can use a divination tool like this, but you can literally go play a sport, go play a board game, do something fun and new that you've never done before. Get excited about a new project or a new tool that you want to use. There's play is all over the place. Opportunities for play are all over the place. Okay, we have come to numero uno, the number one thing to do in order to enhance your psychic abilities, develop your psychic intuition, etc. You've heard it a billion times, meditation. Now, I should tell you, I started meditating because I was going to prove that it sucks. Frankly, I was in the middle of a very intense fertility struggle, and I wanted to find something to relieve my pain, my depression, and nothing worked. And I found this whole thing about mindfulness-based stress reduction, and I decided to try mindfulness because that was bogus and that couldn't possibly work. And so I'm going to prove it wrong. Well, I dutifully aimed for 30 minutes a day for 90 days. I was gung-ho. I was going to do this and prove that it does not work for my brain. I lived in New Jersey at the time, and I was in traffic. And if you know New Jersey, in traffic, it is not good. Lots of cursing, lots of expletives, lots of gestures out of the window. And there was one day that I got cut off on the highway, and my very first instinctual reaction was, I hope they're okay. And that's when I knew that mindfulness meditation worked for me. You will change your nervous system and its ability to be resilient, and you will open up pathways for connecting to the other side. When the first 2 spirit babies showed up for me and I freaked out, and I called somebody who I knew was a psychic medium and asked her what the frig was going on, she pointed to meditation being the first thing that likely enhanced this ability that I never knew that I had. And I am going to pay that information forward to you. It doesn't need to be 30 minutes a day. I found after 90 days of 30 minutes a day, and not even in the beginning. I think in the beginning, I started with like 5-minute guided meditations and worked myself up to 30 minutes. After 90 days of that, my brain structure was clearly changed because of that evidence, my initial reaction of peacefulness. So there is something about meditation that is very important. You cannot skip it if you want to develop your psychic abilities. Don't skip it. Must do. Okay. There are your 5 tips for developing your psychic intuition and a couple of bonuses in there. Let's move on to today's reading. I have been fortunate enough to get to work with Olga in the past. And in the beginning, when we started working together, she did not tune in to her psychic abilities. She wanted to very much, and she probably already knew that they were there. But when she really put the practices into place, the surprise would come every time that she would be on point and correct with her psychic abilities, to the point where she now just leans into it. And when she gets what she calls downloads, she believes them, she writes them down. So this reading does cover the gamut. We do talk about spirit babies, we talk about her career, we talk about other things moving into 5D, which is a whole other episode. We'll probably get into that in season 2. But I want you to pay attention to psychic abilities and her leaning into that today too. All right, I'll catch you on the other side. And here is where I leave you to go to newrealitytv.com and find season 1, episode 10 for the rest of this episode. And I'll catch you on the Reluctant Medium podcast next time. Take care. Thanks for joining the Reluctant Medium podcast today. I hope you found this episode helpful. You can connect with me at thereluctantmedium.us, where you can find lots of free content as well as readings. All links are also in the show notes. Thanks so much again for joining today. I will see you next time.